2021, and he is Jalen Rose, and I'm David Jacoby, and we are Jalen and Jacoby, and what is it that we do?
Give the people what they want.
The NFL playoff picture is clear. We have Steph Curry going for 62 points against the Blazers. Derrick Henry going over 2,000 yards. Lamar Jackson going over 1,000 yards. But we start the show where the NFL regular season ended, and that is in Philadelphia, where the Eagles took on the football team. And after Jalen Hurts was in the game, they put in Nate Sudfeld. Doug Peterson says he was coaching to win. Jalen, was Doug Peterson really coaching to win when he put in Nate Sudfeld?
And he disrespected a Jalen on top of it, who we've seen balling, Jacoby. Like, what does Doug Peterson have against the fact that Jalen Hurts has promise as an NFL quarterback? Like, each week is like, I'm trying to decide who's going to start. Or in the offseason, trying to build the offense around Wentz and find a role for Hurt. Hurt has shown that he can ball in college, now in the league. This is what I think should happen, Jacoby. As a gentleman that's built up so much equity with the people of Philly, he brought them a Super Bowl.
Yep.
They should consider taking down that statue of him and Nick Foles that's outside, dog. That's what I think about this move. Like, he sabotaged the city, the team, the organization. It ain't about whether they get the 6th pick or the 9th pick. He basically let me know that he don't want to be there and coach Jalen Hurts at quarterback. That's what I see. And this is normally the behavior of somebody that feels like he's going to get another gig. I don't think that this helps your next situation. How about that 4th and 2 that they went for? You're supposed to kick a field goal in that situation.
Got to kick a field goal. Got to tie the game there. Got to tie the game. It just didn't make sense. Watching the game, the decisions that he made did not make sense. He was not coaching to win. Now, I'm glad you mentioned they could have been the 9th pick if they won, the 6th pick if they lost. Fine. You improve your draft position. I get that. But those 3 picks, in my opinion, are not worth the reputational hit, the relationship with everybody on your roster, the leadership. If you're going to go back and be the coach of the Eagles next year, you should win that game, because that is what you all put on the uniforms and tie your shoes to go do, to win the game. And I just felt it was disrespectful, not just to take Hurts out after he scored 2 running touchdowns in a 1-possession game, but to put in Sudfeld. Like, you need to take a look at him, then have him just hand the ball off. Like, what do you need to see him do? And then he had 2 turnovers his first 2 possessions. I don't know. I'm shocked by this. I think if I was a Giants fan, I would be protesting outside of the link with masks on. But Jalen, this is going to have impact all offseason on this franchise, which has so many questions to ask. Who's our quarterback? Is Peterson a head coach? How do you think those 2 questions will be answered this offseason for Philadelphia?
I don't believe that he wants to be their head coach. So I think he's the move, and Wentz is the move with him. Don't be surprised if they try to resurface somewhere else, Jacoby. That's how I see this playing out. You can't now go lead the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. You can't now look at their fan base with a straight face. Jacoby, this man brought them a Super Bowl. He brought them a Super Bowl. He has a statue outside. He lost all of that equity with that decision. We were watching the game. We saw what he did, and it was foul.
Yeah, not only did he pull Hurts, you got to kick that field goal to tie the game. You have to kick that field goal to tie the game. It's not like they were on the 1-inch line. They were on the 3. That was ridiculous. But, Jalen, you know I'm a die easy fan, okay? And the Eagles have die hard fans. I'm a die easy fan. I jump on bandwagons. And you know one that I jumped on early this season was that of the Buffalo Bills and the Bills Mafia. Now, listen, I'm not just jumping on this bandwagon when they started winning. I was on this in the preseason, and I couldn't be happier to be on the Bills bandwagon right now, because they just don't go out and win games. They go out and dominate their opponents. And we've always said all season that it's the Chiefs up here, then everybody else down here. But I think the Bills are closing that gap in the AFC. The Bills have won by 10 points for 5 straight games in a row. Since that Hail Mary that Nuke Hopkins caught, they've won 5 straight, not just one, but won by 10 points. The offense looked great. The defense is coming around. I see the Bills as a real threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. What do you think?
90 East to 94 all day. We've been talking about the Bills on this show. And when our guy Benny the Butcher came on the program, Jacoby, the Bills decided that they were going to use the longtime supporter of the squad in an ad to promote their playoff run. Oh, man. Oh, man, they might win a Super Bowl, dog.
They
might win a Super Bowl, dog.
You know what, Jalen? I'm excited. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. I have the Bills representing the AFC in the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. I have the Bills representing the AFC in the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. Remember where you heard it first. It is going to happen. I cannot wait for the Bills and the Chiefs to play in Arrowhead. A lot of football to get to before that happens. But before all that, from this Bills game, we have a soft mover boss. Mental hygiene is very important, but also dental hygiene is very important. And Stefon Diggs proved that when he was flossing his teeth on the sideline. Jalen Rose, soft mover boss move, flossing at work.
It's always a boss move if and when you can floss to do it. And it happens in a lot of different ways. And the Buffalo Bills, you just said, and I disagree that they're going to beat the Chiefs, but why not live your best life? Okay, these is all pro performers. Stefon Diggs went there to ball. Hey, you know, they can't do any wrong right now.
So I would say it's a soft move because I don't want your germs and your sort of food particles flying around in the air while you're doing this. But one thing I did like about his technique, he goes 2 teeth at a time. I'm more of a one-gap flosser, but he's efficient with it. He's efficient with it, getting 2 gaps per floss. Big shout to Stefon Diggs, who had a heck of a year for my lifelong fan of the Buffalo Bills. Moving on to the best team in the NFC, and that is clearly the Packers. Did Aaron Rodgers throw his way into the MVP award with his performance against the Bears in Week 17?
So here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to disrespect the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, okay? Like, I heard what you said about Buffalo. Now I hear what you're saying about Aaron Rodgers. Outstanding, fantastic season. And I'm going to repeat what I've been saying all year. Where are all of those people that was like, well, Aaron Rodgers don't have any weapons, and Green Bay's trying to sabotage them? And I've been saying all year, Jacoby, I've been watching this dude in my division play fantastic football. But Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. Career years for Kelsey, career year for Tyreek Hill. I say by a hair, I would go Mahomes over Aaron Rodgers, but Adams and Jones and the depth that they have with the Green Bay Packers and the excellent, outstanding play of Aaron Rodgers, I can understand why you would give him the award.
I think that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback. However, I think that Rodgers will win the MVP this season. Much like LeBron and Giannis last year, this award is about narrative. This award is about sort of like the longevity of your career. So he will win it this year. Does he deserve it? Sure. You know, I don't think there's such a gap between these two performances, especially if you look at the numbers, that Mahomes deserves it. And I think that Mahomes won 2 years ago, Lamar won last year, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't won one for a while, so they will give it to him.
But also, let's just make sure we mention Derrick Henry's name. Mm-hmm. You know, when you get jammed up.
We're going to celebrate King Henry.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, definitely.
We're going to celebrate King Henry.
Okay, cool.
Now, one thing that cannot be overshadowed is the performance of Steph Curry yesterday. Now, if you've been paying attention to the NBA season, the Warriors kind of sputtered out of the gate. They don't have Clay. They didn't have Draymond. And people were kind of putting some slander on the Steph Curry name, and he responded with a 62-point performance yesterday. Jalen, what message did Curry send with this great game against the Blazers? The
message that he's going to need to send all season if they're going to be a playoff team and if they're going to advance, that he's an all-NBA first-team caliber player and the best point guard in the league. It was great after watching him play 5 games last year to see him get back to this elite, outstanding level where his usage was up, his minutes and his effectiveness was really high. Draymond Green being out there had a lot to do with it with his screens and his playmaking. But also, Steph Curry has to put the league and the fans and the world on notice that, yes, we're not the favorite to win it all this year, but I'm going to make sure I do work. That's what we saw Russ do when KD left OKC. That's what we see Harden doing. That's what we see Dame Lillard doing in Portland. So Steph Curry is charged with doing that. It was great to see him score 62.
Jalen, I have a confession. I was one of the doubters. I was watching these early Warriors games. I was thinking to myself, like, they might not even make the playoffs. Like, they're actually developing Wiseman. Wiggins doesn't really look right. Oubre wasn't hitting shots. And I was like, this team doesn't look very good. But a performance like this from Steph, if you're going to get half of this from Steph every night, they can not just make the playoffs, but make some noise. I don't think Oubre will continue to shoot this poorly. I think Wiggins will come into his own. I think Wiseman will develop. Like, this is going to be a very interesting team to watch. And one thing I love about this performance is Steph was not shy about it. He said, I heard all of you. I heard everything you were saying. And that motivated me to put up 62 points on the Blazers, to a team over the past few years who are sort of leapfrogging the Warriors in the standings.
The only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. And when early in the year, when people like you were doubting, you know what he did? He made 105 straight shots from three-point range. He was in the gym continuing to work on his craft. And then it paid off in a major way. And the result was the 62-point game. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what I like that I saw. Him be able to take those performances and now all of a sudden have his breakthrough signature performance of this early season.
Jalen, you and I both know what really turned around the season for Steph Curry, right? Me and you both know what really happened. What really made this 62-point performance happen? What is it?
I'm glad you reminded me. Because when he was making that 105, he took the braids out.
Braids are too tight.
When he had, they were struggling. I said it, and you know how much I love Steph. But I'm not a cool kid. I'm not a cool kid. So I'm not acting like I know what the style is. You see what I'm saying? But either way, they must have been too tight. Because now his scalp can breathe, Jacoby. Look at that.
He's good.
Now
he's free. Look at that hair.
He's free.
He's so much free. All that tension released from his cranium. He's free to breathe, free to hit. 105 threes in a row. And it felt like he hit 105 threes yesterday against the Blazers.
We got to ask him. We got to get him on the show.
Steph Curry, you know the braids were too tight. You talk about the motivation from people like me doubting you. It was really the braids were too tight at the beginning of the season. And finally, we want you to admit that on wax. We have so much more to get to. King Henry and the Titans. King Henry goes over 2,000 yards, but he'll be facing Lamar Jackson in the Ravens in the playoffs, who went over 1,000 yards. That and much more. Stay tuned. You're watching a jam-packed Pier 17 in South Street Seaport, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, the NFL playoffs start next Saturday. However, the Cleveland Browns low-key had a playoff game yesterday. They needed to win to get in, and they beat the Steelers. Jalen, what do you think about the Browns ending the longest playoff drought in the National Football League?
Well, it's really impressive for a squad that was just winless a couple of seasons ago, and how they just built out the depth of their offensive weaponry. And it starts with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Like, they're a dynamic duo coming out of the backfield. Jarvis Landry's a holdover there, and then Baker Mayfield adjusting to his role, that he doesn't have to necessarily be the guy that slings it all across the lot. And this is all being done without Odell Beckham Jr. So this is definitely a credit to the Cleveland Browns. Let's see if they can actually get in and win a game now.
So do you think it's encouraging that they just beat the opponent that they will face in the first round of the playoffs, or is it discouraging that they just beat the opponent they will face in the playoffs but was playing their backup quarterback and not all of their players?
Well, just think about it like this. I remember when the Patriots was going for their undefeated season, and late in the year, the Giants played their players against them, turned around, and I think that had an effect. I think in this situation, you can't really draw the same parallel because of Big Ben. He is like the rock and the anchor of the Steelers, and he's the person, if you were going to pick the Steelers to win, you would say Mike Tomlin and Big Ben would be the 1 and 2 reasons. So I understand where you're coming from, but Pittsburgh still has that mental hurdle over them. And Baltimore and the Cleveland, I was about to call them Baltimore, but the Cleveland Browns still are going to have to find a way to get over it.
Jalen, it is time to officially crown King Henry. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but he went out against the Texans and did it. Got the yards he needed to get to 2,027 rushing yards from scrimmage. Jalen, can anybody stop King Henry when it comes to the winter?
I love a 3-down, all-purpose physical back. Oh, that's the football I grew up loving and watching. Oh, my goodness, David Jacoby. And I actually even did some research for this topic.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Did you know that each year in high school, he ran for 2,000 yards? Did you know in college, he ran for 2,000 yards? In the NFL, this dude done ran for 2,000 yards. He is that deal, dog. Crown the king.
Absolutely. And one thing that's worth noting is this was a tie game. This game was going to overtime until Tannehill threw a deep bomb to A.J. Brown, which led to the doink field goal that got them to win. However, that sets them up for a first-round wild card game against the team that nobody wants to play in the AFC. That is the Baltimore Ravens, who have won 5 straight. Look like the Ravens of old after struggling early in the season. Jalen, what do you think about this Ravens team peaking at the right time?
For the Ravens, 2 things that all obviously stand out. They need to get off to a good start. Since Lamar's been the quarterback, once they trailed, the record isn't good in those games. And the other thing, when he hit Hollywood Brown deep, he got to hold on to the ball. Like throwing it outside the numbers is something that they need to do better. And Lamar looked really good yesterday, and obviously he's fantastic at running. And if he and J.K. Dobbins can keep that ground game going and then hit the middle of the field with Andrews, that's cool. But if they unlock the outside, then that's when they can possibly be in the conversation with your Buffalo Bills. Because on paper coming into this season, I predicted that it would be Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Well, Jalen, we must recognize the play of one Thomas Brady. Goes down to Tampa Bay. 43 years old, throws for 43 touchdowns. Like the Ravens, the Bucs are on a little win streak right now. Schedule helps that. Do you think the Bucs can make some noise in the playoffs, and they are aided by playing the Washington football team in the first round?
They'll be Washington in the first round, even though Washington got a great pass rush. They ain't going to be able to score enough. But the Mike Evans injury, now that was something big. A non-contact injury. I was glad he was able to go over 1,000 yards for like 7 straight years. And you're right, Tom Brady is kind of doing what everybody anticipated, that he was going to go to Tampa, and you'll see Godwin making great catches and resurrecting Gronk. And Antonio Brown has been a big-time performer for them, in particular in yesterday's game. So they seem to have the weaponry. They got a couple of backs in the backfield. So let's see let's see how they perform once playoff time comes.
There'll be plenty of time to discuss the upcoming NFL playoff games, but one thing we will always do is pay attention to the sweet science. And one of the young stars of boxing, Ryan Garcia, in the ring, after getting knocked down early in the fight, this punch, a left to the body, drops Luke Campbell. What do you think about this punch to the midsection?
I think body shots take so much out of you. And it's like when you're watching baseball, right? Like everybody want to see the home run. You want to see everybody punch for the dome, punch for the dome. But those body shots, oh, I'm telling you, Jacoby, you see, like a sack of potatoes. Look at that.
He's trying to stay on his feet. He took a knee. He just took a knee. He's like, I'm going down. I'm a straight Colin Kaepernick this. I'm taking a knee in the middle of the ring. I don't want to fight anymore. You can count to 10. You can do whatever you want, but I ain't fighting this dude anymore.
And we joking out of respect because it definitely takes courage to get into that ring, for sure.
Absolutely. The combination of speed and power on Ryan Garcia is something to watch, and we look forward to watching him in his next fight. We also look forward to celebrating the dumpster fire that was the Detroit Lions season. Wait till you see Jalen's reaction. ESPN starting with the Celtics and the Heat at 7:30, and then stay up for the next one you don't want to miss. The Clippers taking on the Warriors. That one starts at 10 p.m. Eastern. Both those games on ESPN on Wednesday night. Jalen, this will be the last time that we discuss this dumpster fire of a season for your Detroit Lions. How does it feel to continue this emotionally abusive relationship with your hometown team?
If I had to look on the bright side, at least it wasn't sudden.
There's no bright side.
I didn't have to wait till week 17 to realize we weren't winning the division. I didn't have to wait till us to get to the playoffs to realize we weren't going to win a playoff game.
You have to wait half a century to win a playoff game.
I didn't have to wait till us get to the Super Bowl and realize we weren't going to win it this year. But Michigan basketball is 9-0. How about that? Big shout to my Fab Five brother, Juwan Howard. His coaching staff and the squad have been balling, and I'm really proud of my squad. Hail to the
Congratulations to the Wolverines. We'll be back tomorrow on ESPN at 2 p.m. Make sure you